Okay, we've got Whoopi here, and as you can see, Whoopi is a little bit wound up. So I don't think Whoopi knows anything. We're going to start with one of the most basic commands, which is just sit. So in order to teach a dog a command in the very beginning, really what you want to do is focus them on a treat and then help them to understand what the behavior is by showing them with the treat. So I get the dog focused on the treat back here and pull slowly back over the dog's head, and I take my time. Sit. I say the command once as the dog commits to the behavior. I'm not chanting sit, 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 because the dog doesn't know what it means. Try it again. Sit and deliver the treat. Sit. See how it's starting to happen a little more quickly? Sit. Sit. You just repeat. A lot of dog training in the very beginning, repetition, repetition, repetition. Sit. Okay, good. Once I've got that basic thing down, I want to add a couple of other little elements. From sit, watch. Just for a second, watch. Get the dog to look up at my face, just as a way of connecting with me after executing a command. Remember, this is a puppy. We're just laying foundations. This doesn't mean the dog is going to do this reliably without a treat. Sit, watch. Sit, watch. If she starts jumping up, I can hold her down a little bit with the leash. And then one final thing. Sit, grab the collar, watch, then give them a treat. The grabbing the collar prepares the dog for having the leash clipped on later. You know, when you might want to leave the park and the dog doesn't feel like going, you have to grab their collar to clip the leash on. If you grab the collar every time you give them a little treat for sitting, they're going to become indifferent to that particular little movement. Sit, watch, good job. One last final little point on this. Notice what I'm not doing. I'm not going sit, sit. I'm keeping the treat right on the dog's nose. Sit, watch. I'm not holding it up here and just causing the dog to jump. Okay, so that's a great simple way to introduce the concept of sit to a dog that has no idea about it at all, which I guarantee you this one didn't. Okay, here we have Beanbag. Beanbag knows nothing. I'm beginning to teach the dog sit, and then we want to teach the dog down. So again, for the sit, we go here. For the down, we start bringing the treat straight to the ground, down. Say the word once as the dog commits to the behavior. And then from there, you want to start getting the dog back up into a sit. Sit. From a down back to a sit. Again, I'm not put down. Good job. And again, we take our time, sit. From here, straight to the ground, down. Say the word once as the dog commits to the behavior. Then back to a sit. Now, with some of your dogs, it might not be this easy, so there are a couple of other ways to do this. Some dogs you're going to find are going to lift their rear ends up every time you try to go down. So another way to do this is to try and take your leg like this and have the puppy crawl under your leg, down. Very nice. And then same thing, go back up to a sit and then back to a down. Sit. If you bring your arm here like this and lure the dog underneath, it accomplishes the same thing. Down. And then back to a sit until you can get the dog to do puppy push-ups. Down, sit, down, sit, down, sit. Very nice. And you know, pretty soon you start getting the dog to do multiple commands. They're not really commands at this point, training exercises for one treat, and it's how you're just really conditioning to do it again and again and again. Sit, down, sit. Okay? Great. Thank you. Okay, a command that I like to teach a dog that I think is very important, a lot of people overlook it, is stand. Stand means to stand up on all fours and don't move. Now, the simple way to get the puppy to do this, again, put the treat on the nose, and in a straight line parallel to the ground, pull the treat slowly away, stand. And it's usually just a very small move. sit. From here, stand. A very small move. Sit. Stand. Again, I'm saying the command once as the dog commits to the behavior, so the dog can begin to build an association between the sound and the physical posture and a reward. Sit. Stand. Sit. Stand. Sit. Stand. Very nice. Now standing eventually is a very nice position for the dog to hold, because you can groom them, you can have them examined by the veterinarian, and if they can hold a stand without moving, it's just going to make life an enormous amount simpler in things like that, grooming, cleaning, anything like that. Okay, so one of the things I'm not doing, sit, use a different treat. Common mistakes. Stand. This is, a lot of people do this. Don't do this. Stand, because you know why? Look what's happening. Nothing at all, right? Stand, stand. You want to keep the treat right on the dog's nose. Stand, like that. Okay, so that's your stand, introduction to stand and stand command.